Hi, this is Angela from Main Street Yoga, and this is a gentle Vinyasa flow that you can use any time of day. We're going to begin in child's pose. So, for child's pose, you can choose whether to keep your knees together or whether you might want to separate them. If we keep the knees together, the spine will round forward into a bit of a forward fold. So if you have any osteoporosis in your spine, I would avoid that variation and instead separate the knees, keep the spine neutral, and walk the hands out, sort of hinging from the hips. So the spine stays a little more neutral in this variation. If you have a healthy spine, you can choose whatever variation you like. So I have the arms stretched out in front of me, loosening up the shoulder joints a little. If you feel like you need to simply release tension from the neck and the tops of the shoulders, feel free to wrap your arms back by your sides and let your hands rest by your feet. So while we're here, we'll just take several slow, steady breaths. You might feel your belly expanding, maybe even pressing into the thighs if your knees are together. That happens on the inhale, and then as you exhale, you might feel the belly draw back a little bit. One thing I like to do in child's pose is I like to sort of experiment with some deeper inhales, allowing the rib cage to expand on the inhale and allowing the shoulders to release as I exhale. With my knees apart, I'm getting a sense of gentle traction down low in the spine around the SI joint and the lower lumbar vertebrae. That feels pretty good. You can also sense into the back muscles stretching on your inhale and relaxing on your exhale. So you're welcome to stay right here, or if you'd like to add a side stretch to your child's pose, sort of lift the head a little bit, walk the hands over to the right. The spine is going to curve in that direction. I'm going to set my forehead back down on the floor. My left arm is reaching out, getting a really nice side stretch along the left side of the torso. I can also feel that around my left shoulder, around the muscles there. And that feels pretty good, but I'm going to keep things on the gentle side. A couple of deeper breaths here, maybe feeling into some expansion on the left side of the body on the inhale, and a sense of relaxation on the exhale. I'm going to lift the head, walk the hands back to center, and then all the way over to the left, enjoying that curve of the spine here. Reaching the right arm out, and my left arm is sort of resting. So I've got my left elbow bent, my left forearm is on the floor, my left palm is making contact with the floor. So I can really feel into the sensations on the right side of the body. So the left side is as relaxed as can be. Again, slow, steady breath here. And then lifting the head again, walk the hands back to center. Take a breath or two right in the center here in child's pose. I'm going to add a twist to my child's pose. You're welcome to opt out if you like. And for this variation, I recommend separating the knees a little. So I'm going to lift my head enough that I can thread my right arm under my left. And then I'm going to reach the left arm out, bring my forehead back down to the mat. Allow my hips to shift back down toward my heels. And then relax the right arm as much as possible. Continuing a slow, steady breath here. So if you're uncomfortable in child's pose, you can add a blanket under the shins or even roll up a blanket and place it behind the knees. That'll raise your hips a little bit higher, but it'll take that deep bend out of the knees that can be uncomfortable for some people. Reminding myself to relax the right shoulder. And I'm going to lift the head again, unthread the right arm, reach it out in front of me, come back to a child's pose, reaching out right down the center. I can kind of feel the reintegration in the right shoulder. And then lifting the head again. This time I'm going to thread the left arm under the right, a little twist here. Left shoulder rests on the mat, left temple rests on the mat. The right arm can reach out in front of you. If that feels like a little too much, feel free to bring your right hand back towards the shoulder. If the right arm is extended, keep that a little bit active as you relax the left arm as much as possible. And then keep a close watch on the breath. Make sure you can maintain your slow, steady breathing. That's a good indication that you're not pushing things too far. When we push ourselves too far in our yoga practice, the breath becomes dysregulated. We'll either breathe too fast or the breath becomes sort of choppy. So that's a good way of monitoring where you are in your practice. I'm going to lift my head now, unthread the left arm, reach it out in front of me. Take a couple more breaths here in child's pose. Maybe a nice deep inhale to let the rib cage expand. And then softening on the exhale. And I'm going to lift the head now, walk my hands back towards my knees, bring the knees together, and just kind of take a moment here in an upright position, just kind of noticing how things feel. Good. And then I'm going to come into tabletop position. So coming on to the hands and knees, shoulders are over wrists, knees are under hip joints. I'm just going to take a moment or two to move any way I want to move. So sometimes I like to take my hips side to side. Sometimes I like to kind of circle the hips around. First in one direction and then in the other. And then coming back into a neutral tabletop, let's move through a few cat-cow movements. So on an inhale, drop the belly toward the mat, lift and spread the collarbones, tilt the chin up, maybe bring a little smile to your face. And then exhale, begin to round the spine, the chin moves towards the chest, press the mat away. Inhale, dropping the belly to cow, creating some space along the collarbones. And exhale, back into cat. Again, inhale, drop the belly to cow. Nice deep inhale. And then as you begin to exhale, begin to round the spine, chin towards the chest. Let's do one more. Inhale, drop the belly to cow. And exhale, round the spine to cat. And then coming back into a neutral tabletop position. I'm going to take a moment just to stretch my right leg out behind me. My toes are down on the mat. I'm going to lean back a little bit, find a gentle stretch in the calf muscles. And then release that. Bring the right knee down beside the left knee and then stretch the left leg back. Leaning back. Little stretch in the calf muscles. And then releasing. Left knee comes down beside the right. I'm back in tabletop position. So at this point, I'm going to stretch the right leg out, toes are down, and then I'm going to stretch the left leg out and come into a plank pose. And from my plank pose, I'm going to lower the knees and the tops of the feet so that I end up in a modified plank pose. Begin to exhale as you bend your elbows, upper arms stay close by your sides as you lower the chest toward the mat. And then on your inhale, lift the head and the shoulders, come into a little baby cobra here. Exhale as you release the head and shoulders back down. Inhale onto your hands and knees, and then exhale, hips to heels. Just half a breath here in child's pose. On the inhale, come back onto the hands and knees, shift forward so that your shoulders stack over the wrists. Exhale as you bend your elbows, lower down, modified chaturanga. Inhale, baby cobra. Exhale back down. Inhale onto the hands and knees. And exhale back to child's pose. So this is the sequence we're working with. Inhale, hands and knees. Shift forward. Exhale, modified chaturanga to the mat. Inhale, baby cobra, move the shoulders away from the ears, long cervical spine, and then exhale down. Inhale, hands and knees. Exhale, child's pose. Continuing on, inhale, modified plank. Exhale, modified chaturanga. Inhale, baby cobra, nice long spine, extending from the tailbone through the crown of the head, and then exhale back down. Inhale onto the hands and knees. Exhale, child's pose. One more time through that sequence. Inhale, rising up, shoulders over wrists. Exhale down to the mat. This time on the inhale, you can continue with your baby cobra, Or if you feel like you might come up a little higher this time, feel free to do so. Press the tops of the feet down, firm the thigh muscles. And then exhale down. Inhale onto the hands and knees. And exhale to child's pose. Inhale onto the hands and knees. We're going to reestablish our neutral tabletop position. Shoulders over wrists, knees under hips. Let's tuck the toes under. Exhale, lift the hips up and back. Downward facing dog. Take a few moments here to loosen up, doing whatever you like to do. You might sway the hips side to side. You might pedal out the feet, bending one knee as you straighten the other. Observing sensations. Listening to any cues your body might give you as to when you might be pushing yourself too far. And then let's inhale, coming up onto the balls of the feet, and then exhale, lower the heels toward the mat. Inhale up onto the toes again, bend the knees, take as many steps as you like to come to the top of the mat. Let's find a ragdoll. So feet a little wider than hips distance apart. You can let the spine round, let the head dangle. You might turn the head side to side a couple times, maybe nod the head. You might bring your hands to opposite elbows, maybe sway side to side here. Nice and slow. When I sway in my ragdoll, I like to shift my weight from one foot to the other as I go side to side. Gives me some interesting stretches in the lower legs. Good. If you're still moving in your ragdoll, come back into some stillness. Release your hands to the mat. Let's toe heel the feet a little closer together so that the ankles are right under the hip joints. And then on an inhale, come to a halfway lift. You can place your hands on your shins. You can even bring them up to your thighs if that's more comfortable. So we've got a long, flat back. And then as you exhale, soften your knees, come back to your forward fold. We'll do that a couple more times. Inhale, halfway lift. Extending from tailbone to the crown of the head. And then exhale, softening the knees back to your forward fold. One more time. Inhale, halfway lift. Nice deep inhale here. And then exhale, softening as you fold. This time on the inhale, we're going to rise all the way up. Sweep your arms out to the sides. Keep a little bend in the knees. Let your glutes do a little work as you come up to your extended mountain, reaching the arms overhead. And then exhale, softening the knees. Arms sweep out and back down. We'll do that 2 more times. Inhale, sweeping up. Feel the glutes helping to lift you up into your standing position. And then exhale slowly back down. One more time. Inhale all the way up. On the exhale, let's come to chair pose. So bend the knees, sink the hips down. And then find a little space in the low back. So not really tucking the tailbone too much. Maybe think about sort of pointing the tailbone down toward the floor. Draw your lower belly in towards your spine, some activation of the muscles there. If the arms feel like too much, you can always bring hands to heart center. You might even rest your hands on your knees. On your next inhale, come back to extended mountain, straightening the legs, reaching the arms up. And then exhale, soften the knees, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, bend the knees, step the right foot back. So we're in a runner's lunge, and then go ahead and lower the right knee and the top of the right foot. Let's lean in a little, feeling some sensation in the right hip flexors. Try not to collapse the chest. See if you can keep a nice long spine. Blocks under the hands are helpful here if you have them. Good, and then shifting back a little, stack your left knee over the left ankle, plant the hands, tuck the back toe under, lift the back knee, step back to downward dog. Taking a few breaths here in downward dog. On your next inhale, raise the right leg behind you into three-legged dog. Maybe take a breath or two here. Feel the sensations on the back of the left leg. And then on an inhale, come up onto the ball of the left foot. As you exhale, step or sweep the right foot through. So we're in a runner's lunge again, this time right leg forward. Lower your left knee and the top of the left foot. Lean in a little, roll the shoulders back and down, find some space in the upper part of the chest. Slow, steady breath here. Showing the hip flexors a little love. Let's shift back a little. Right knee stacks over the right ankle. Tuck the back toe under, lift the back knee, step forward, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. On the inhale, let's come all the way up. Extended mountain. Exhale, soften the knees, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, bend the knees, step the left foot back this time, and then lower the left knee and the top of the left foot. Lean into that low lunge, and this time, if you like, on an inhale, raise the arms overhead, reaching the fingertips up toward the sky. And then exhale, hands come back down. Shift the right knee back, tuck the back toe under, lift the back knee, step back, downward facing dog. On your inhale, float the left leg up. Three-legged dog. Couple of breaths here. Don't worry about how high the left leg goes. Get more interested in what's going on in the back of the right leg. So making sure we're kind of feeling a little extra sensation there, but not too much. On an inhale, come up onto the ball of the right foot. As you exhale, step or sweep the left foot through. Lower the right knee and the top of the right foot. Lean into your low lunge as much or as little as you like. And then if you want, on the inhale, raise the arms, reaching up toward the sky. Exhale, hands back down. Shift back. Left knee stacks over the left ankle. Tuck the back toe under. Lift the back knee. Step forward. Forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. And exhale as you fold. On your inhale, come all the way up to extended mountain. And exhale, arms to your sides. Good. Let's step out. Face the long edge of the mat. Find a wide angle stance. So if you want to sort of play around with how close or far apart your feet should be, One rule could be to maybe stack the ankles right under your wrists when your arms are out to a T. If that feels like too much, feel free to toe heel the feet together or a little bit wider apart. All right, let's pivot the left foot, point the toes toward the short edge of your mat, and then bend your left knee and you'll find yourself in Warrior Two. Turn your left palm over, inhale, reverse your warrior, reaching the left arm up, and then exhale back to Warrior Two. Take a deep inhale here, and as you exhale, tilt the torso and find side angle pose. So the left forearm rests on top of the left thigh. Very lightly, not too much weight there. Right arm is reaching up toward the sky. On an inhale, return to Warrior Two. And then straighten your front leg. Tilt the torso again and find triangle pose. If you need a little bend in the left knee, that's perfectly fine. Your hand might rest above the knee or below the knee. Try not to let your right shoulder collapse toward the floor. See if you can find some length in your spine and some openness in your chest. And then on an inhale, rise up. And I'm going to pivot my left foot, point the toes toward the long edge of the mat again. Let's pivot the right foot. Bend the right knee, find Warrior Two on this side. Turn the right palm over, inhale, reach up, a little reverse warrior. And then exhale back to Warrior Two. Take a deep inhale. And as you exhale, tilt the torso. Find your side angle on this side. You might think about sort of drawing the shoulder blades towards each other behind you. Creating a little openness in the chest. On your inhale, rise up. Straighten the right leg. And then tilting like a teapot, find your triangle pose. So a lot of times in triangle pose, we have the mistaken idea that we need to get our right hand as close to the floor as possible, and that's not the case. What we're looking for here is some length in the spine, some openness in the chest, and a nice side stretch along the top side of the body. On your inhale, rise up. Pivot your right foot. So we're back in our wide angle stance. Bring your hands to your hips. Inhale, lengthen through your spine. And then as you exhale, hinge forward at the hips. Coming down nice and slow, you can bring your hands to the floor or to blocks. Taking a moment here, feeling into sensations in the back of the legs. Some length in the spine, and then if you want, start to build a forward fold from the base of the spine up. So beginning to round way down low in the spine. Ooh, feeling some space opening up there between the vertebrae. And then rounding the thoracic spine. And then finally releasing the head, just letting it hang heavy. Slow, steady breath. can experiment with shifting your weight forward and back very slowly, very subtly. You might find some interesting sensations in the legs as you do that. On an inhale, return to the halfway lift position. Toe heel your feet a little bit closer together and angle your feet so the heels are in and the toes are out. And then bend your knees, sink your hips down low. As you inhale, rise up into goddess pose. So we come into goal post arms, drawing the shoulder blades towards each other. A little stretch across the top of the chest. Feeling the work of the glutes and the quads. And then inhale, straighten the arms and legs. Let your arms come down by your sides, toe heel your feet closer together. Let's step back up to the top of the mat. On an inhale, sweep the arms up. Exhale, soften your knees and fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, bend the knees, plant the hands, step back into your plank position. Shoulders over wrists. Lower the knees and the tops of the feet. Exhale, bend the elbows, lower all the way to the mat. Inhale to cobra. If you like, you can stay here for a breath or two, enjoying your back bend. And this back bend can be as high or as low as you like. But do keep the hips on the mat, otherwise you're no longer doing cobra pose. Exhale, slowly, slowly, slowly back down. Inhale, onto your hands and knees. Exhale, your hips to your heels, child's pose. Arms can come back by your sides. Let your hands rest by your feet. Let your forehead rest on the mat. A few deep breaths here. You're welcome to remain here as long as you like. When you're ready to come out, lift the head. Inhaling as you're coming up, shoulders over hips. Take a moment to observe the breath. And at this point, you're welcome to come into Shavasana. Always a great idea after any practice. If you need to get on with your day, take a moment to thank yourself for showing up. Hands to heart center. Deep breath in. And a long, slow exhale. Thank you for practicing with me.